For our word study this week, I'm going to reread the introduction of A Bird's Free Lunch. And while I read, I'm going to underline a word. And I want you to listen to how that word is pronounced. And then at the end, I'm going to show you two more words. I want to see if you can figure out what they all have in common. So let's begin. John Burroughs, 1837 to 1921, was a popular nature writer. Whose essays helped start the conservation movement. He was best known for his essays about birds, flowers, and rural scenes observed from his home in the Catskill Mountains of New York. Of his beloved home, Burroughs said, "Those hills comfort me as no other place in the world." So we have that word nature, and here's two more that I'm going to write for us. We have paper and able. And then just so we can see it, I'm also going to put nature here. So we see all three of them right next to each other. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, what is the same about the first syllable in each of these words? Nature, paper, able. But I misspelled able. There we go. Able. In each of these words, the syllable ends in a vowel. In this case, the syllable ends in an A vowel. So notice, it ends in that A right there. It ends in a vowel. And that's going to be important. Syllables that end in vowels are called open syllables. So if a syllable ends in a vowel, it's open. In open syllables, the vowel sound is usually long, like the long A sound in these words. Look at this one. We had this word right here, beloved. So let me pull beloved up. Where did it go? Helped, served from his home, and there it is, beloved. Notice how beloved, we break it up. It's an open syllable right here. That E is all by itself. And what do you notice in beloved? Well, that E, since it's open, is a long E sound. B, E. So that's going to be the pattern that we're going to look at. Now, I'm going to have some more words for you to look at. I have the word basic, I have the word begin, I have the word hotel, and I have the word student. I'm going to break these up into their syllables. Basic, begin, hotel, student. And what did you notice? Well, each of these ones are open syllables. It's open because it's ending in that vowel sound. And since it ends in that vowel, it's going to make that long vowel sound. Now, I have a chart for us at the bottom, right over here. And I'm going to put some words in there, and we're going to sort them. So I have this word unit. I have the word depend, but I'm going to spell it correctly. I have the word spider, and I have the word final. I'm going to break these up so that we can see their syllables and then see if they're open or if they're closed. So unit, U-nit. And what do I notice about that? Well, I notice that it's a long U sound. That U is all by itself. So my open syllable pattern is a long U. Now what about depend? Well, let's break that up as well. Depend. And what do I hear? Well, I hear that D sound is making a long E. So it's making an open syllable pattern of DE. That's my pattern right there. The DE is that syllable. Now what about spider? This one's a little bit different because notice spider. There's 3 letters in this syllable. But it's still open because it's ending in that I. And notice in spy, it's making that I sound, that long I. Now our last one is final. Final. It's still making that I sound. Fi. So my open syllable pattern is that Fi. So that's what we have for open syllables. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if I can find any more open syllables in paragraphs 1 through 3. And while I do that, I'm going to highlight them. So I'm looking for open syllables. There may be some that I miss, So if I do, you can more than welcome go back and find them. One winter, I fastened pieces of suet, but that blue is kind of dark. So maybe I'm just going to circle it. Suet and marrow bones upon the tree in front of my window. Then I sat at my desk and I watched the birds eat their free lunch. I'm going to put a question mark by this, and I'll tell you why. Eat their free lunch. The jays bossed the woodpeckers. I'm going to put a question mark by this J too. I'll tell you why. The woodpeckers bossed the chickadees, and the chickadees bossed the kinglet. The kinglet was least of all, a sort of hop-o'-my-thumb bird. He became quite tame, and one day alighted upon my arm as I stood leaning against the tree. I could have put my hand upon him several times. I wonder where he roosted. This word became. That's the one I was trying to underline. He was all alone. He liked the fare so well that he seemed disposed to stop till spring. During one terrible night of wind and snow and 0 temperature, I feared he would be swept away. I thought of him in the middle of the night, when the violence of the storm kept me from sleep. Now let's go to this one over here. Imagine this solitary atom in feathers drifting about in the great Arctic, out of doors and managing to survive. I fancied him in one of my thick spruces, his head high under his tiny wing, buffeted by wind and snow, his little black feet clinging to the perch and wishing that morning would come. So I underlined some words. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these words down here, and I want you guys to tell me if they're in the correct spot. So I'm going to delete all these because we have an idea of it. I'm going to write my new words. I had suet. So let's check. Su-et. So yeah, that's an open syllable because I'm hearing that U. Su. So I'm going to put my open syllable pattern as SU. What's the next one that I had? Well, the next one I had was eat. So what's my syllable? My syllable is just eat. There's no open syllable pattern here because notice it's one syllable, and what does that syllable end in? It ends in a T. And since it ends in a T, that's not a vowel, so it's not an open syllable pattern. True, it does make that E sound in eat, but it's not our open syllable pattern. It's that EA pattern that's doing that. So let's look at our next one that I wrote. I wrote J's. So again, J's is one syllable. And you'll notice it doesn't end in what? It doesn't end in a vowel, it ends in an S. So even though it makes that A sound in J's, J-A's, it's still not an open syllable pattern. It's making that A sound because of the AY pattern. So these two shouldn't be in my word sort. But let's look at this next one. Became. What do we notice about that? It's became. And I'm going to unhighlight this. And notice B ends in that E, and it's that long E sound. We don't say became, we say became. So my syllable pattern is BE. And the last one we had was tiny. Notice for tiny, it's ti-ni. And again, you'll notice that I is making what? It's making that long I sound because it's open syllable. It ends in a vowel. So my syllable pattern is T-I for tie. So that is how we organize our syllables and determine if they're open or closed. Now you have some spelling words. Your spelling words you'll notice in your word study, but I'm going to put them over here for us. They're going to follow this open syllable pattern. So you'll notice right here, this is brazenly. So we have bray. It's not bra, it's bray. We have nature. Nay is making that long A sound because it's open syllable. We have decided, that DE is open. We have deterred, that DE is open. We have prevent, that RE is open. I'm sorry, that E is an open syllable. We have local, that O is making that long O sound because it's an open syllable. We have location, and we have notice. So all these are following that long vowel pattern.